Even while the whole city is suffering, Keion Henderson demands big money.
All of these people displaced, God gave me a vision, and he said we can do it in 21 days. I'm asking 2,100 people to give $2,100 in the next 21 days. And what we're calling it is Out of the Harbor.
But let's talk about it here on All Things Theology. Cue my theme music.
All things theology, all things theology. We chop it up properly without an apology. Gotta get that theology to God, hollow be, cause this is how we do it at All Things Theology.
Yo, grace and peace, and welcome back to an episode of All Things Theology, where this is your host, K-Dub. Today, we're going to be talking about Keion Henderson demanding some big money, millions of dollars, right? If you don't know, his church has been closed down due to a recent hurricane that hit the city of Houston. It was bad, and obviously we don't rejoice in that. But I thought this was interesting. I'm actually going to allow him to elaborate more on kind of what happened and to the church. Let's hear him talk first about the hurricane.
I wanted to spend a moment to give you the state of our church and to let you know where we are after the unfortunate events of Hurricane Beryl that came at us unexpectedly. Started off as a hurricane somewhere in the deep waters, found its way to landfall, and we had no idea that we would be in its grip. You see, my wife and I were on our sabbatical month. We were on vacation, spending time with each other. It was just my birthday 2 days prior. All I could think about is the time I would have with my bride and the time we would be able to use to reconnect through the busy vicissitudes of life. Only to get a call that there was a storm that hit and things might not be okay. Now, you have to understand, I didn't believe it because you cannot imagine how many storms we've survived. We've gone through Harvey, Ike. None of the storms ever seemed to touch us. But did God have something else in mind? Well, this storm was not created for us. I would not be selfish to just have you pray for us alone. For when we got the news, 2 million people at the time of impact had no power. No food. Some had no air conditioning. They were in literal heat waves because the temperatures in Texas are unforgiving. But we are a resilient people, not just the city of Houston, but the Lighthouse Church is a byproduct of that hard-nosed, tough, you can make it if you try attitude that we have as a city. Well, I can't give you all of the details, but let me tell you, our building is uninhabitable. As of this moment, you can't even walk in it. It's catastrophic. It's shocking. It's sobering. It's actually emotional. The reason why it's emotional is because you could not imagine all we had to go through just to get here.
Now, okay, that's him talking about the hurricane, the damage it did. It did quite a bit of damage to the church, millions of dollars worth of damage to that church. And obviously, that's not why we're covering this video alone. There's some interesting things. If you may not know, let me just ask you, does the stage he's preaching from look familiar? If you were in Houston, you were a big mega church pastor like Keion Henderson, where would you preach? Let's hear him talk about that first.
I want you to come understanding that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I want to express my gratitude to Pastor Joel and Victoria Osteen and the Lakewood staff for welcoming us with open arms. It is a blessing to have them stand with us, knowing that we will always be there for them as well. What we're building is a new future, not a building. Our world changed July 8th. Again, I have to say 2 days after my birthday, I will never forget it. But somehow I know that this is not the end. We're building a symbol of God's undefeated power and glory.
I don't know we can build that biblically, but he's using Joel Osteen's church. And let me be fair, it's not necessarily a problem. The problem is they are definitely in unity. I mean, considers Joel a brother, right? There's a lot of problems with how he talks about Joel Osteen and things like that. I wouldn't have my church at Joel Osteen. I mean, just not a good look. But some of you may be saying, hey, why is this even a big deal? Can't he just use insurance to pay for the cover of these costs? I mean, yeah, it may take some time, which, yes, of course. I mean, if you've ever had to file a claim for insurance for a car, it may take a little time, but eventually you get your money and you're able to go on with life. Well, he addresses that. He addresses that for all the critics who are just saying, you know, go do your insurance thing, right? You got insurance. Obviously, you're a big mega church. Of course, you got insurance. Let's hear what he has to say about that.
And so, yes, in the midst of tragedy, we've chosen to be active participants in how we show up on God's behalf. We have chosen to show the power of God through the love we show to the Houstonians who call this home, the generosity of our members, the generosity of this community, the generosity of people in trucks pulling people out of the water. We are Houston strong, and we are proud to be a part of this community. Now, I know what some of the skeptics have said. They've said, don't worry about Keion and Shawnee. They're going to be fine. You know, insurance will take care of it. Let me tell you something. Anybody who tells you that doesn't know how the world works. The insurance job is to give you a depreciated value on the assets that you have. And we are in the process now of fighting to get all we can for the people of our community, of our church.
Now, we're going to see here in a little bit why insurance isn't enough. And yeah, generally times, insurance won't give, say if you total your car for 40,000, they may give you 25, 30,000. Yeah, you're going to have to probably come out of pocket on some of it. Yeah, well, I grant that. But what he's asking for is actually still a ridiculous amount of money, because he's not just trying to repair this church. We're going to see what his actually bigger goal is. So let's play this next one here.
Those of you who sit in your living rooms and you loaned me your spirits, thank you for using your hard-earned time and resources to call me your online pastor.
I would argue biblically, there's no such thing as an online pastor. It's like someone in Virginia watching someone in California say, I go to that church. No, you just watch their videos online. But we are going to see why he wants to be called their online pastor. Because if I'm your pastor, you're accountable to me and what I'm telling you. Now, listen to what he's going to tell them.
Some of you I've never met, but I feel like I know you in my heart. And because you've helped us to get here, I'm going to call on you to help us to get there. I need you to help us in rebuilding. You know, we were getting ready to do this in October anyway. And those of you all who've watched me, you've heard me say that it was time for us to expand our sanctuary.
So here's actually the problem I see. They were getting ready to already expand in October, which means they have the actual funds. I mean, you wouldn't start building before you had the funds. I hope not. I'm actually trying to assume the best that you actually did have the funds. And the hurricane came, right? Destroy that, which, I mean, that money that you were saving to build in October, wouldn't you just use that money, along with insurance, of course, as well, to build on that October plans and project? I mean, that's me being logical. They don't want to use that money, right? To build that, right? But watch this.
We were turning 600 to 700 people away every week.
Oh yeah, so he's about to say we were actually going to build in October, a bigger facility, right? Because they couldn't have as much people, right? They would turn people away, right? Let me just tell those people that are getting turned away. Find a biblical solid church in Houston. You can reach out to me, allthingstheology at gmail.com. I will point you to some solid churches in Houston. I've done reviews of Keion Henderson. His sermons are not biblically good. But let's keep going.
Parking was abysmal, but we made it. I told our church that we were going to start over. And yet again, I believe God said, Keion, your faith was too small. So let me blow the building down so you can build what I put in your heart. I want to
So he's essentially arguing God sent the hurricane to Houston to destroy all of Houston so that Keion Henderson's church could get bigger and better. You see actually how selfish this is? Like the hurricane. So what was up with all the other millions of people who had their homes destroyed for your church? I mean, utter ridiculousness.
increase the size of our sanctuary by 2. I want to double the size of it so that no one who has an opportunity to get in is turned away because we don't have a seat.
Now we're going to see why he wants the church so big is because he wants to double the church rather than just actually fix the problem, right? He needs all this money to build bigger and better. And I, like I said, I don't mind him building the church bigger and better just on principle alone, but it's going to be at the expense of other people, right? I mean, you don't have the actual funds to do that. So it's probably best you just actually fix the damage that was caused by the hurricane and not do what you're about to do here.
We can't wait on the insurance company to do that. I need you from around the world. If
Listen.
I've ever preached a message that has touched your spirit, if I've ever spoken into your life and you started the company that you were not going to start had I not pushed you in faith, if you were thinking about ending your own life, but somehow God gave me a word that made you fight to live another day, I need you. I won't pretend like I can do this by myself.
So if Keion has ever gave you some kind of spiritual advice to where you've not ended your life, to where you've started some business, then he needs you. You know, it's very interesting. You know, you listen to a lot of his message and there's a lot of vibrato, right? There's a lot of vibrato, right? My faith can destroy my faith can cause mountains to move. And then right, he actually don't have the millions to do. So he's coming meek and mild. Brothers, sisters, I need your help. There's a different Keion here, right? Yes. This is this is the commercial, right? Just call that number. Would you help a starving child? Like, yes, you will be okay. I mean, just rebuild the church, right? You don't have to do what you're about to do here. Again, I know it's about to happen. You don't have to do what you're about to do because your vision and plan is to build something bigger and better, but you don't have the funds for bigger and better. So you just need to fix the problem. I mean, look,
if I could do this alone, trust me, it would be done already. But I am a feeble man who puts himself at the mercy of the court and asks you to join me in a journey because we do not have time to waste. We cannot build and we cannot raise money for 3 years and then build another 2 years and have all of these people displaced. God gave me a vision and he said we can do it in 21 days.
I just think it's interesting how he act like this is about the people. It's not about the people. More seats, we know what that means. But apparently he said God gave him this vision. We're about to listen to what this vision is. Listen to the vision God gave him to do, right? Because we can't wait 3 years, 2 years, can't wait a total of 5 years to get this done. This has to be done now, right? Y'all know how I do it, right?
I need cash now.
Call J.J. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
We have a lawyer for that. It's his money and it's their money, your money, and he wants it now.
I'm asking 2,100 people to give $2,100 in the next 21 days.
Quick maths, 2,100 people, $2,100. That's $4.4 million in 21 days. He wants to raise that, which is possible, right? It would be one thing to tell people, hey, look, this is the dollar amount we need. Hey, just sow what you can. The Lord will provide. But apparently I don't like when people make these demands on people. God told me to tell you 2,100 people are supposed to give $2,100. And now you got to do it in 21 days. I mean, at this logic, why not just one day? I mean, don't wait 21 days to obey God, right? I mean, this is ridiculous. Again, a lot of, right, this is the soft spokesman salesman. I like that word, right? Soft spokesman salesman, right? He's trying to appear humble, meek. Oh, look at Keion. He's such a humble brother. But watch him on Sunday. You're going to see a whole nother dude.
And what we're calling it is out of the harbor. You see, a ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what it was designed for. And right now, our ship is in the harbor, but you're going to help me through focus and resources to come sailing out of the harbor, not next month, not next year, but now. It would be easy to retreat and recreate the same space that we had.
It also would be more practical, more cheaper, more frugal, right? To actually rebuild the same thing that you had. You don't actually need a larger space. Yeah, you want that. Hey, but you don't have the the want, and the financial to match that want don't actually match. So the less frugal thing, or the more frugal thing, would be to actually build what you can afford. Like, you don't have the resources, and now you have to put a demand on the people who's ever been affected by your preaching, which is absolutely absurd. If they've ever been affected positively, they need to give some kind of money to your church. You're asking them to give, and then you're asking 2,100 people. They need to give $2,100 to you as well. Again, that's if just people obey that. That's 4.4 million alone. Let's say you give 10,000 to give an average of $100. Quick math on that as well. You're making easily over 6-7 million, right? And again, not just to fix what was broken, it's to go bigger and better in Texas. You know, in Texas, we like everything bigger and better, right? But do you need the bigger and better? I think that's the more biblical, logical question we should be asking.
But we are far too bold for that.
Yeah,
far
you are.
Too fearless to accept yesterday. We will enter into uncharted waters, searching for God's glory. And we can achieve greatness together, but we can do nothing apart. I've seen the lightning flashing. I've heard the thunder roaring. I've even felt sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul. But I hear the small, still voice of God saying, fight on. And he promised to never leave us alone. God is not shifting us to the exact same spot. He wants us to move forward. And you know, I'm not asking for passengers in this new move of God.
Crew members.
I need crew members to join us. I need workers to come alongside and chart the course of our new legacy together. It's only to be secured and sacred if we do it together. If we do it alone, we will retreat and go back to our former state of being. So I call you from California. I call you from New York. I call you from Florida. I call you from the UK. I call you from Africa to join us in our call to action. 2,100 people, $2,100, 21 days to kickstart our efforts to get back into our building. We're not waiting on the insurance company to tell us when and where we can do what God has called us to do. We will do it together. And by the way, maybe you've never been in the building, but if you're watching me right now, what you don't know is we call you Lighthouse Nation. Let's get to work.
Yeah, this is hey, you're a part of us, right? You're a part of us. So since we consider you a part of us, go on and help us, because you're family, right? You know, a lot of people do that to, it's really disingenuous, right? Because none of these people actually know you. They can't even meet their pastor, but they're supposed to consider you family. You got thousands of people there. The pastor, they've never met the pastor, right? But they're a part of the family, I just think that's interesting. But hey, $2,100, 2,100 people, 21 days. Won't you give to Keion? Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Till the next time, grace and peace. Yo, grace and peace. Thank you for watching another episode of All Things Theology. If you enjoyed what you heard today, go on and give me a like. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. I promise to give you weekly lives, videos, interactions, exposing false teachers, sharing with you, the viewer, my theological beliefs, things about the culture, and the Bible. So if you're here for that, come on and join us. Also, if you would like to support this channel financially, you can do so by becoming a Patreon member or a YouTube member. Links are in the description below. You can see content before it drops. You can also have Q&A sessions with also other Patreon members, YouTube members as well. So if you would like that, hit the description link in below.